son's school called an emergency meeting over what they found in his backpack. I was 40 feet up on a roof when the school's number came across my phone. Mr. Van, we need you here as soon as possible. It's about Silas. She wouldn't tell me anything else. Not whether he was hurt, not whether he was crying. I came off that roof faster than I've come off anything in my life. Drove across town and parked halfway on the curb. Silas was on the bench outside the office, swinging his feet, perfectly fine. 6 years old, no tears, no scraped knees. Bud, are you okay? What happened? He shrugged. They took my tool and my picture. That was the whole report. The assistant principal opened her door and asked me in. There was a folder on the desk, and his teacher, Ms. Landrum, was already sitting in the corner with her arms folded. In the middle of the table, sealed in a gallon freezer bag like something out of an evidence locker, was a hive tool and a folded piece of construction paper. I knew both of them on sight. The hive tool was mine, a flat piece of steel about 6 inches long that you use to pry frames apart, blunt on both ends. Silas has carried it since he turned 6 because it makes him feel like part of the operation. We keep 4 hives behind my mother's house, and he's been out there with me in a veil since he was 4. The drawing was one he'd done at the kitchen table. 2 figures in white suits with mesh over their faces, gray smoke coming out of a can, a big box with lines on it, and across the top in his handwriting, me and Dad, best workers. These were in his bag, the assistant principal said. They were, I said. The tool's mine. He borrows it. Ms. Landrum spoke up then. The concern is the combination. A metal implement, figures with covered faces, smoke. She paused like she was choosing her words carefully. We're required to consider whether a child is being exposed to something unsafe at home. The room got very quiet. Say that back to me, I said. I'm only saying that when I see imagery like that, I have to ask questions. You looked at a drawing of a kid and his father working bees and you landed on unsafe? I didn't say. You said it in front of your boss with my son's handwriting on the table. The assistant principal had the look of somebody who wanted the floor to open. She said Ms. Landrum had flagged it out of caution. Caution, I said. You put a beekeeping tool in a freezer bag. Did you have it tested? I was being thorough, Ms. Landrum said. You were being something. Then Silas's voice came from the doorway, quieter than usual. She asked me stuff in front of everybody, Dad. Everything in me went still. What stuff, Bud? At morning meeting, she held up my picture and asked who the people with the masks were, and if anybody at my house makes fires, and if it was a secret. I said it's not a secret, it's just bees. And then everybody laughed, and Mika asked if I was getting expelled. I looked back at Ms. Landrum, and her face had gone the color of paper. You questioned a 6-year-old in front of his class, I said. You made 20 kids think he'd done something wrong. That drawing took him an hour. He wrote the letters himself. I didn't bring up the other thing until later, because I didn't trust my voice. There was a half-pint jar of our honey in the front pocket of that backpack with masking tape on it that said M.S. Landrum. He'd carried it around for 2 days waiting for the right moment to give it to her. The assistant principal stood and asked Ms. Landrum to wait in the workroom. I opened the bag myself. I took the drawing out, smoothed the fold flat with my hand, and put the hive tool back in my son's palm and closed his fingers around it. This is yours, I told him. Nobody gets to make you feel weird about what you and I do together. Not ever. He fell asleep in his booster seat on the way home with that tool in his fist. The next morning, I filed a written complaint with the district. I brought the bag, the drawing, photos of every hive we've built, our state registration, and an account of the morning meeting. 2 other parents backed it up after their kids came home talking about it. The coordinator asked whether I wanted to take it all the way. I asked her whether a teacher who looks at a 6-year-old's picture of his father and reaches for the worst thing she can imagine, out loud in front of his friends, should be in a classroom without retraining first. She didn't have an answer for that. Ms. Landrum was moved into an office position by the end of the month, with required training before she works with kids again. Silas still carries the hive tool. Last week he asked if he could bring something else in for share day. He wanted to bring a live bee. We settled on a photograph.